Now, let's be clear, Pep said that absolutely tongue-in-cheek with a big smile on his face, but it's a good enough peg for us to hang it on. Do you think that some coaches, and I'm not saying Pep did there, actually are slightly irritated by their players' involvement on social media?
Yeah, I think it's just a change in society. You know, I've started coaching at Brighton's under-23s, and it's amazing how the new generation, how important social media is to these players. You know, how many followers they have, what they're saying on Twitter, if they're giving out the right image, that actually isn't actually showing a true person. And so I understand Pep's irritation in a way. It was said tongue-in-cheek, but there is more to it. We need to actually think about this moving forward in the development of young players, because now social media is so important to them. I've played games in the Premier League with first-team players that come on a coach that I've had a nightmare today. I don't want to look at my Twitter. That's the level that it's at. So yeah, it could be tongue-in-cheek that you say about someone like Mendy, who's always on it, and it's great for Man City that he's back. But in the wider scheme of things, it's actually something that we really need to look at in terms of how players use social media and how it affects their performances on the pitch.
I mean, is it like anything else though, Steve? When you're winning games, manager doesn't care what you do, really, does he?
Well, to a certain extent.
No, within reason.
Yeah, within reason. I mean, you've got to control whatever you do, and you've got to control it. And he's the manager, and he's thinking, OK, if and when you have a bad game, you live and die by that Twitter. And then you're open to all kinds of abuse, possibly. Because that's what it is. It's an open forum.
It is.
There's nothing private about it. So you've got to be careful how you use it. I mean, I'm not always on it, and I don't really use it often enough. Maybe Liam does, and he's got first-hand knowledge of it with youngsters. Pogba uses it a lot.
Yeah.
Well, you know, and for not always the right reasons. If it's purely about, oh, we had a good game today, or we could have done better, and it's constructive, but when it's shown with his new hairdo and when he's dancing and Lingard are doing all these stupid dances after the games and stuff, you have to be very, very careful as to how far you go.
But should he? Because I remember sitting down and
yes, he should.
Why? Because I interviewed Paul Pogba last year, and I said to him, look, it's possible that some people get the wrong perception of you because of your social media, because of the hair, because of the dances, all the things you mentioned. He said, why? Well, he said, do you think I think about that when I go on the football pitch? Do you honestly think it affects the way I play?
Yes.
And he's got a point.
Well, and yeah, but of course, but sometimes you're making a rod for your own back, because when he does have a bad game, and when he does do something that is not right, then he's open for criticism. And I'm not saying he shouldn't do it. Do it at home. Do it. He's doing it in the dressing rooms with all players and stuff. And that would rile me as a manager to say, you concentrate on your football, never mind all your dancing and singing and prancing about. Do it on the pitch for me, and you can do all your stuff outside.
Yeah, but these are young men.
Yeah.
These are young athletes, and that's how teenagers...
Social media can be great. It allows that common sense of getting to know a player's personality, and we all want that. We all want to get to know our heroes. You see kids now, teenagers looking up to their heroes, able to message them on Twitter. It's a great thing. It can also be a very negative thing. You get the trolls and the bad stuff that comes with it. But when it's important for managers is when it's actually affecting the player's performance on the pitch. I don't mind Pogba being himself. You want players, if you can't be your best version of yourself...
Has Steve got any point at all? And let's be honest, you said...
No, I think in terms of it being a rod for your back, because the more you're on it, the more you create a target on your back for when things don't go well. But throughout, I remember in my dad's era playing with you had the markings out of 10 in the newspapers. It's just a bigger version of that in terms of, but now it can be more personal. What my point is, with Twitter and Instagram now, it's such a big part of our society that it's actually beginning to take over players' minds in terms of how they're perceived and how they actually are.
You know what, I'm with you to a certain extent, because I go to the games now, Liverpool games and wherever, and the players are so far away from the supporters. They can't get near them, can't get close to them. When we played, we were close to them.
Exactly.
We'd go out, we'd meet them, we'd talk to them. Now security and the bodyguards and everything make it where there's players and fans. And I think it's probably the only way to bridge that gap.
Not always. There was a fantastic, talking of Twitter, there's a fantastic tweet today. Jesse Lingard is in his car and a load of young kids have spotted him. They've all gone sprinting over and he's opened the window, opened the car door, chatting to it. It was brilliant.
That's what
brilliant
you want.
To see.
Yeah.
And so that breaks down sometimes that perceived barrier
Yeah.
that there always is.
Exactly, and you look with the England team, how great they were in the World Cup in terms of their press coverage and their media and letting their players be themselves on Twitter.
Because it was controlled, Liam. It was controlled.
Well, it was controlled and the players
was it?
understood.
Really?
Of course it was controlled. It was fantastic PR by England. Fantastic PR.
But the PR office, the press office with England didn't sit down with the players, look at the individual tweets, sign them off and let them go out. They just let the players be themselves.
Yeah, but they opened it up and they made sure that it was controlled initially.
A hugely positive influence.
Yes, because they did it the right way. There was no going behind anyone's back, no doing it. They did it as a team. And they opened it out to the floor, which has never been done before with the media. And England done it very, very well.
The other thing you get as well is, because of the amount of money footballers earn now, the same as other industries, say like music or acting, they themselves become a brand.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
the
it's-
value is in how many Twitter followers they have.
And it's a marketing tool to build their brand, which their sponsors, associates will encourage them to do.
Exactly, and that's the point. You want players, first and foremost, to concentrate on the football. That's why at football clubs you have player liaison officers or agents to take that pressure away. When you get too involved in social media, you're bringing that pressure back on yourself, and that's why the likes of Pep, I've heard Jose Mourinho talk about social media before. It's becoming more and more a part of our society and a part of our game, which is at one point no bad thing, but in the other point it can be in the future. So it's a fine line to be trodden on.
But we're also talking about possibly managers here who are not that keen, and there'll be plenty of them. Is this an age thing?
It's
because
a generational
they're
thing.
not of the generation that are used to it.
100%. Me, I'm 34, and my kids can go on an iPad and 3-4 years old and do it better than I.
What's an iPad?
Yeah, exactly, Jeff, exactly. But that's what I mean. But part of coaching and management is understanding your players and understanding the society that they live in as well. So that is really important. That's why social media will become more and more important as time goes on, because even in this generation, the likes of Pogba, Lingard, the next generation are going to be born into
it's inevitable that
Exactly.
it happens, and people got their own life outside of football. Agreed, 100%, and it's the way of life. But if you're a manager, you're not governed by Twitter. Twitter is not going to make you successful or a failure. The players are going to make you successful.
You say that though. You know, managers' positions are often influenced by the media, which old school was the back page, was the headlines.
Here's how influential the social media is. Arsenal Fan TV have had to change their brand on Twitter because they were saying things that Arsenal Football Club didn't agree with. And there was a tension between the two because Arsenal as a football club felt that they were influencing fans' opinions about what was happening at the club. That's literally where social media in the future is going to influence football, is going to influence players, managers, everything. So there has to be an understanding of that. The likes of Mendy, it's great. I think it's fantastic that a player is able to be themselves. You can't stop it. But there has to be an understanding of how players cope with it, because it's a whole new thing from how it was 20, 30 years ago.
But there's a reason there's been adverse publicity and media speculation and whatever you call it on Twitter is because Arsenal haven't been performing. It's as simple as if Arsenal are performing and the top teams are performing, you don't get all the abuse and you don't get the Arsenal TV complaining about the Twitter feeds because the team are not performing. That's why.